Okay, video examples on helicopters. First, we're assuming it's the Russian movement turn. So this helicopter declares himself to be in high flight mode. That means he can move anywhere on the board during this turn. Okay, so let's say I'm going to move all the way over here. Okay, now because he's moving high, he's subject to off-board anti-aircraft fire. So we throw a dice and it gets a 3, which is fine. So if he threw a 6, he would be actually destroyed by this off-board anti-aircraft. Things to remember about helicopters flying high: they can't engage ground combat, they can't engage ground targets. The only thing that they can do is they could attack other helicopters that are flying high, but there are none on the board. They're visible to everybody, from anywhere on the battlefield. Okay, so let's imagine now that the British got some Lynx helicopters coming in. Now these are flying, they decide at the start of their turn they're going to fly nap, which is nap of the earth. Okay, so you've got, say, one group over there, one group here. Now this group is gonna, they're Lynx helicopters, so they can have actually got a movement of 20 N. Okay, so the first lot, you're gonna have to excuse me moving around this table all the time. The first lot will move a full movement 20 to place themselves in nap behind that house there. Okay, I'll mark them with full movement counter. The other guys decide to move their full movement allowance but they're going to be marked with strategic movement to say that they've moved over their normal movement allowance. Helicopters have a 6-inch cohesion range regardless. There's no variation on that for quality or anything like that. So both Lynx groups are actually incorrect. If the helicopters had only moved half their normal allowance, let's say that group over there only moved 10 inches, right? Now they could actually go into Overwatch as a result of that, but they're also in a position, because they've only moved half, they can engage a target with first generation missiles. The Lynx, cunningly enough, has second generation missiles, which are Hot Ones. Okay, the helicopter stands here that moved strategically can't fire, so it works the same way as vehicle fire. The other Lynx group is actually going to use pop-up fire. So what they can do is they're counted as being out of sight because they're behind that house. So what they can do is, in a pop-up, they can rise above the house to one level above the house and then engage a target. Now the only thing that can shoot at them while they're doing that is enemy units on overwatch, which there aren't any. Helicopters are also subject to the same rule as any other vehicle when it's firing, even though these helicopters, they've got machine guns, rockets and missiles. They can only select one of their weapon systems to fire. So we've decided we're going to attack these tanks, which are visible to the helicopter because they're moving in the open, so they've actually fired as well, so they're visible up to 70 inches. Now the missiles they carry, the hot ones, have a range of 40 inches. They have a high explosive ammunition type, they're second generation, and they have a penetration of 15. The T-72 has a frontal armour of 10, so for each hit you would get 5 dice. Now, because the Lynx only has 2 rocket pods, it's firing with limited ammunition. So we have a look on the chart here for missiles. So we're firing second generation limited ammunition missiles. So I've got to get a 4+. Now, helicopters are treated like vehicles again, in the fact that the quality comes into account when you're throwing to hit. So they get a +1 bonus, so effectively there'd be a 3+ to hit. So you've got 1 shot each for rockets, and let's see what we get. We get a hit and a miss. Okay, now I've already said that for each hit I get, because it's a penetration of 15 against a frontal armour of 10, that I will get 5 dice, on which I've got to throw a 4, a 5 and a 6. Right, so we've got a 4, which would have given us a well, it would have forced the tanks down to make a quality check, but we've actually got a 6 as well, so that means a kill. So this tank here is destroyed. Okay, we'll have a look at other stands firing on helicopters. Works the same way as everything else really. You've got to be within range and you've got to have a clear line of sight. Now remember, these helicopters, when they're flying nap, are considered to be 1 level higher than any terrain that they're flying over. Now they are visible to these BMP-1s. Now BMP-1s have missiles. They have second generation missiles with a range up to 30 inches. Now if you look at the rules for firing on helicopters, they've got second generation and third generation missiles may fire if the helicopters are within half the missile's maximum range. Remember, that's maximum range. Well, now a missile, that's a bit misleading, that, because a missile doesn't have effective and maximum ranges. It has just a range, so you've got to be in half. Basically, we're talking in this situation that they've got to be within 15 inches, which they are. Guns could also take shots at helicopters. We've got an AA gun stand here, which we'll talk about later, but say I was able to actually, well, I could fire with these BMP-1s using the gun on the BMP-1. which has a range of 12 inches maximum. Now the rate of fire, because it's only got a rate of fire less than 3, that would mean that you're only going to get one shot at a helicopter. Only weapons with a rate of fire of 4 or more can fire normally at helicopter. So these guns, if they shot at you and they hit you, they're going to do a lot of damage, because these are considered to be soft targets. So that would give you 10 dice on which to suppress or destroy the target. The only thing about these guys, when they fire against helicopters, they don't get bonuses for quality or range on the so there's no penetration bonuses or penetration. Well, and also they can only fire up to the effective range. They can't fire any further. Right, let's just throw some dice then. Let's say 3 of these BMPs decide to attack the target with second generation missiles. Right, you've got 1 hit there, and that's got a penetration of 15. But you can only have a maximum of 10 dice against the target. So this is, well, there's a load of 6s, so it would effectively be destroyed. I think you can see from these examples that helicopters are incredibly vulnerable, as well as being quite powerful delivery systems in terms of missiles and things like that. The ability to pop up and drop down again after you're shot means nothing can ever go at you except for things which are on overwatch. But you're intensely vulnerable to missiles and guns. These are just non-specialist missiles and guns. And remember that each individual stand also has an integral machine gun capability, which can be used to fire at a helicopter as well. Right, it's only got a penetration of 1, but it's got a range of 10. So that's something to worry about. And then you've got your anti-aircraft weaponry, which there's a ZSU anti-aircraft gun. Okay, so an anti-aircraft gun will fire at its full rate of fire. So that's a SPAA ZSU 23 has, oh my god, has a rate of fire of 10. It can also hit on a 5+. Well, so it can hit on a 5+ at short and effective range, or 6+ at long range. And also, when you're firing anti-aircraft, you're able to use your quality modifier. So I got, say, 10 dice here from a rate of fire, and I've got I'm firing at effective range. Well, actually, am I? Just let me check that. 20 inches, yeah, so I'm firing at my effective range. So I need a 4+ to hit, and I've got 5 hits on the helicopter. Now my penetration is 2, so for every hit I get 5 dice. So I've actually got 10 dice. Sorry, for every hit I get 2. So I've actually got, because I've got 5 hits, I've got 10 dice. So I'll throw that, and I'm looking for 4, 5s and 6s, 6 being a kill. So 1, that's gone as well. I'm not going to have a look at helicopters in close combat, because to be quite honest, they can avoid close combat by going into high mode or just moving 6 inches away from the close combat. But if they did get engaged in close combat, they're treated as being in close combat if they're within 4 inches of an enemy stand, rather than the 1 inch normally used. Phew, that's a lot of stuff.